Community church helped to resurrect me. Reverend Donald Lothrop was minister of the Community Church of Boston for 38 years, from 1936 to 1974. He courageously reminds us of what community church was and is about as it celebrates its 95 years. During the McCarthy era and so-called communist scare, Reverend Lothrop was accused of being under Communist Party discipline, required to go before a Massachusetts legislative committee and testify on the charge that he had given aid and comfort to communists. Lothrop testified, "Gentlemen, I plead guilty to this charge. I have given aid and comfort to all kinds of people, black and white, Jew and Gentile, Catholic and Protestant, Mohammedan and Buddhist, rich and poor, capitalist and communist, Democrat and anarchist. My exemplar is one Jesus of Nazareth, who feared not to associate with and ministered to prostitutes, thieves, and tax gatherers. He believed in virtue by association, not guilt by association." Reverend Lothrop continued his testimony. "I am proud that over the years our people have been willing to listen to and provide a platform for countless men and women who are debarred elsewhere. Our country needs voices of dissent, diversity, and daring. It is the insurance against complacency and error which lead all closed societies to their graves." My source here is Reverend Peter T. Richardson's A Brief History of the Community Church of Boston. It's very important to identify our sources. We appreciate that very much. Reverend Lothrop embodied and gave voice to the essence of the Community Church of Boston, a self-identified peace and justice congregation, a non-sectarian peace and justice congregation. I was privileged to serve as minister from 1978 to 1981. And my wife Eve is here with me today. I'm sorry? 90, what did I say? No, 78 to 91. And our daughter, Amy's also here. Amy was 3 months old when we went to community church. And now she's married with 2 children, and she has 16-month-old Leo here as well. You may be hearing from Leo. Today, our country needs voices of dissent, diversity, and daring to confront the continuing manufacture of consent that Noam Chomsky so incisively spoke about at Community Church in 1985, which address Dr. Chomsky allowed CCB to publish as part of its fund drive. The manufacture of consent is now seen in political leaders and mainstream journalists who repeatedly call the illegal and falsely based U.S. invasion of Iraq a mistake, when it is the worst war crime of the 21st century, as Noam Chomsky has said. The manufacture of consent is also seen in the United Methodist Church building a monument to the worst war criminal in the 21st century in erecting the George W. Bush Museum and Library on the campus at Southern Methodist University. And a marble bust of Bush's torture-in-chief, Vice President Dick Cheney, has just been unveiled and will reside in the Emancipation Room in the U.S. Capitol. The manufacture of consent is seen in the destructive U.S. corporations profiting endless war on terrorism, which President Obama recently continued this illegal 14-year-long war in Afghanistan, saying it is, quote, to protect America's national security, while weakening the security of 65 million Americans with no increase in their Social Security benefits in 2016. That war on terrorism has also created endless enemies and blowback violence and countless refugees. Yesterday it was the communist scare. Today it is the Muslim scare, which calls for voices of dissent, diversity, and daring to address cause and effect by connecting blowback violence to American imperialism, welcoming refugees, and confronting the warmongers running for president. The manufacturer of consent today calls for faith leaders and their congregations to regain their prophetic role of confronting political power and wealth with reality and moral truth, rather than serving as the status quo's chaplains of consent, providing the invocations and benedictions for those in power. Reverend Lothrop pleaded guilty to giving aid and comfort to all kinds of people. That is the critically needed model CCB has provided these 95 years and continues to embody: a non-sectarian church of peace and justice, a church whose steeple is the aspirations of all people, whose altar is the common ground on which everyone walks, whose cross is the oppression from which any individual or group is seeking to liberate himself or herself or itself, with no proselytizing strings attached.